First of all, I'm curious why you come here to Davos in the middle of the war.
Now, in Davos, two worlds are colliding, meeting each other. On political side, the leaders of the governments, and on the economical side, the leaders of business world. And it's so important to work together in one front against this Russian aggression and the war in Ukraine. Because without isolation on the political side and on the economical side of Russia, these wars will keep on going. Because every cent that Russia is getting on trading oil, gas, coal, whatever the trade is going to be spent on the military equipment and paid for the soldiers that fight and kill us today in Ukraine.
Do you feel like your message is being heard? Europe is still buying Russian gas.
Almost 3 months has passed since the beginning of the war. And now, eventually, the world is waking up and understands that this is not just a local war or conflict. We're the largest European country. And this war is going to affect and knock on the door of every household, of every person, government, and so on. It cannot still go on. It must be stopped. Ukraine is part of the ecosystem of the world. We're providing, for instance, grains for Africa and Asia, and with the blocking of the Black Sea, we're going to have hunger in those countries. So it's going to be affected on all different stages if Ukraine is going to be out of the supply chain. And not to forget, we're largest, as I said, European country. We are in Europe. And since the Second World War, the international law has been not broken. And with this invasion of Russian army on Ukraine, international law is broken. Russia needs Ukraine, but not the Ukrainians that wants to be associated with democratic principles. We've been fighting for it since 2014, since the Revolution of Integrity. And it's still, by the Western world, by the free world, underestimated the annexation of Crimea, 2014, supporting of the separatists so-called in east of the country. And now with the military that is killing us Ukrainians, killing. And now the courts, and not justification, but confirmation of this killing by the Russian soldiers that been just day before yesterday, was put in jail for life.
Saw that. For
killing. And the soldier confirmed it. Yes, I killed this old man on a bicycle because I was called to do so. So, and I believe the consequences must be faced. The consequences must take place, and international law must take place as well. And international court must not justify, but just pay for, Russian army must pay for all the war crime that is happening in Ukraine now.
What is your life right now? What are your days?
My life is never going to be the same as it was before February 24th. No one's life is going to be the same as it was before the war. We have war. We're talking about Europe, and we're talking about Ukraine as part of Europe, but it's going to touch the world. This war can be spread out further if it's not going to be stopped in Ukraine. And that's why it is extremely important to stand on the economical and the political side against this war, against invasion of Ukraine. And the war must be stopped in Ukraine. State-owned propaganda and guided propaganda of Russia already announced that Ukraine is just the beginning. That means former Soviet republics, or those ambitious of the Soviet Union or Russian Empire,
it's a warning,
is gonna roll further. Speaking of Poland or Baltic countries, Romania, Bulgaria, whatever was back then part of the Soviet Union, that's the ambitious that Russia is, with President Putin, is looking for. And I believe now they're realizing that their intelligence, Russian intelligence, was so wrong and misguided.
Because you're fighting back.
And everything that was done and those ambitions are just wrong. And I believe that corruption is part of it as well. Corruption in the Russian army with intelligence, corruption that is in Russia. And other countries, I mean, this is a pretty global issue, but in Russia, speaking of Russia, is the price right now that we pay in Ukraine with our lives. And it is extremely important, one more time, to stress it out, to stand together, support Ukraine. Please do not stop. Well, the question is it not enough? It's never enough as long as this war is still going. We don't know how long this war is going to go, and endurance is extremely important for us Ukrainians in the country who stand strong with the will, and our will is stronger than any army or any weapon, but it's also endurance for our allies and partners to stand together. I know it's going to get uncomfortable, but to leave the comfort zone, that's how you grow. That's how you stop the spreading of the war around the world.
And you stayed to fight. Why did you stay?
Why should I not? Why
It's
should
dangerous.
I leave? It's not about danger. We understand if you're in Ukraine, on the Ukrainian soil, you're in danger. Even if, as a journalist, your colleagues been precisely killed by the Russian snipers. And they had press on their chest and also on their forehead, meaning the helmet. But they were precisely killed by the snipers because you are going to spread the news, because you are danger for them. And actually, media is one of the strongest weapons in this world, because media, state-owned media in Russia, brainwashes its people, calling Ukrainians fascists and Nazis, which is a complete lie. Just this morning, I was in my hotel room here in Switzerland, in Davos, turning on the television. What did I see? I saw Russian television, state-owned television, reporting about Mariupol, a completely destroyed city, and reporting that Ukrainians destroyed, and Ukrainian army killed thousands of the city population. And that's the justification on our side and the lie on their side that the fascists out there doing all of this. Lie eventually will come to a light, and eventually the truth will win. And exactly as the evil will always lose against the good. And that's exactly what is happening. And I believe if we stand together, united in one front against Russian media in this case, Russian state media, Russian gas, oil, coal, sanctions, isolation, on a lot of different issues that coming from Russia. It is important to show to Russia, we are not okay with that. We're against this war. This war must be stopped. And the consequences after this war must be taken. And the crime must be punished.
One more. Was it difficult to get out of the country to come here? And will it be hard to get back in?
It's not that easy.
skies?
It's not that easy, but it's possible. Through the western border.
What is Kyiv like right now?
3 months ago, when Russian military forces were on the outskirts of the city, and you could hear the shellings, you could hear daily, hourly explosions. You could recognize, is it in or out? Is it something that flew in or is something that's coming out? The city was empty. 5 million people were living and working in the city of Kyiv, up to 5 million. And the city was empty. I've never seen Kyiv empty, but I saw it right in the beginning of the war. Now, the life is back. It doesn't mean, though, that the danger is out. You are still in the war zone. The rockets are still flying and landing, as it happened already 4 weeks ago, 2 rockets landed in the city center and killed one of your colleagues, the journalist from Radio Freedom. So if you're in Ukraine, if you're in Kiev, you should understand the war is still going on. Even though the city is back to life, it's not as empty as it was in the beginning. And all the satellite cities that were kind of as a protective shield against the Russian army took the hit. They're destroyed. Bucha, Borodyanka, Irpin, Gostomel, Makarev, we can still on going and counting. It's not just destroyed infrastructure, bridges, buildings, but it's taking lives. And the bodies of the innocent are still be discovered. They've been tortured and killed. And you could see that. The war has a very, very horrible face. I was in Bucha right when the Russian forces left. I saw with my own eyes those young men, women, or elderly civilians with the tied hands behind their back, on their knee, executed with a headshot. Many of them, many civilians. In the car on which written children that have been flattened with a tank, and you still see the remains, human remains in there. It's all reality. And this war, or war in general, has horrifying face that cannot be repeated, which is already repeated in Kharkiv, Mariupol, and we can count endlessly in the east of the country. There's so many villages and cities that have been under this war for a longer time, since February 24th. There are people that are still looking for food, water, medical supply. They're still injured, and they have no help in this case. And it's just devastating how bad this war is. And there's no logic. If you want to conquer the country and you're destroying it, who is going to rebuild it? Where are the financial assets coming from? What is the reason behind this killing? You don't like the Ukrainians because we are looking for freedom, we're looking for peace, we're looking to be associated with democratic principles? Well, you think wrong. You must be killed. That's how Russian army and Russian leaders, I think, I know that's how they act, and they're reporting it. Is going to be used or not with chemical weapons or nuclear bombings. Hopefully not. God forbid. But could that happen? Russian on state media already announced it. We're going to use it. Better watch. So it's something that, one more time, we can endlessly talk about it, and this interview is going to be too short for it. But it is extremely important to understand the danger of this war. And it's not just Ukraine. The whole world is going to be affected with it. And we will feel already in the next upcoming months how the economy, the world economy is going to struggle, how the food and hunger is going to come
already, and
so on. So that's why don't hesitate. Don't wait too long. Please keep supporting us. Please help us. We need weapons. We need military equipment on different sizes and stages and whatever it is. Humanitarian side, extremely important. We need it. We need food and water. We need it. We need a lot. But we will give back multiple times. We're protecting also your principles in Ukraine. And peace must occur.